Okay, welcome to episode number 10 of the Smart Leaders Sell podcast. I am Jessica Lorimer, sales coach, leadership expert, and today, the person who wants to talk to you about emails and email marketing, and really how to write emails that sell, not smell. Because let's face it, spam stinks. In other news, I am actually also very excited that today we have hit double figures on the podcast. Woo, woo, woo! That was me on my celebration train, by just as an FYI. So we are now officially double figures. We have 10 episodes of the Smart Leaders Sell podcast. That is something that I feel is celebratory, well, certainly celebration worthy. And I'm very, very excited. So thanks to everybody who has listened to one of the first 10 episodes. And if this is your first episode, then guess what? You have 9 others that you can go and listen to if you like this one. How cool is that? Anyway, today's topic, email marketing, is something that's very near and dear to my heart because recently I had an experience with a spam email. And by spam email, I don't mean one of the emails that tries to sell you some kind of weird enhancement agent, shall we say. And you'd be surprised by how many of those I get, given that I have a Hotmail account. And apparently MSN loves some performance enhancers. Not that I've ever bought any. Also like to add that in there. But anyway, recently I did actually have an experience where somebody found me on Instagram, where I'm not massively visible, but I do love Instagram. I love following accounts. I post on there about my personal life, the kind of behind the scenes of my business. And this person found me on Instagram, and they decided to send me a series of spam emails. And it was really interesting because it was the first time in a little while that I'd had emails that just weren't valuable. You know, it wasn't something I'd signed up for. They found me on Instagram, and I was busy that day. Okay, I was actually having a bit of a self-care day. I was putting on a face mask, and I get this little ding on my laptop, and I kind of rush out of the bathroom because, dings are usually good things. Sometimes they're PayPal, and we love those. But I had this email in my inbox from somebody that I didn't know saying, "Hello, Jessica. Please read the attachment I sent you about money mindset. It will change your life." And I was like, oh, a spammer. And there was a moment where I was like, I could just hit the delete button, but I felt like actually this person needed a learning experience. And by learning experience, I don't mean that I wanted to be rude to that person. I just wanted to give them a little bit of free education on why it probably wasn't the best way to approach me and something they could actually use moving forward. So I sent them an email back, and I sent her a rather kind email that said, hey, it's great that you're really passionate about whatever this is that you're sending me. But also, I think you should focus on building relationships because actually I'm not going to read your attachment because I don't know who you are. And I'm not actually even in the market at the moment for anything to do with money mindset. So maybe think about that next time and send your audience things that they actually want and have asked for. And I thought that was kind of the end of the matter. But it wasn't, because persistency is a sales skill. And actually, persistency is a skill that this person possessed. And I'm not sure whether that's a good thing in this instance, but hopefully eventually they'll get the right idea about email marketing, because they then sent me an email back that said, yeah, that's a good point. And I had a blurb to add to the email about myself, and I forgot to add it to your email. LOL. Just as an FYI, LOL in an email, unless you know the person, don't do it. Unless you're one of those cool kids that actually can get away with it on your email marketing. I'm not a cool kid, and therefore I can't. But the LOL bit really did irk me, because I was like, I'm not really laughing that I just gave you some advice and now you're back and you've just sent me this like LOL thing. And then underneath was like 15 lines, I kid you not, 15 lines of information about herself and her cat. And it was just bizarre, frankly. And then at the end, there was another 5 lines of, I guess I was rushing, but I wanted to get the link out for the savings as it's only for 24 hours. But next time I'll be sure to include all the other information just in case you're interested. Here it is. And she went into like 5 lines of trying to sell me the money mindset thing again. Okay. I'll admit it. At that point, I was riled. She had got my go. I was very cross. I was in my charcoal face mask, typing out a frenzy on the computer. And so I figured I would give her some feedback. And the analogy that I came up with in my email was, think about it this way. If you're walking down a street and a random man comes up to you and he wants you to buy shoes from him, do you? 99% of the time, no. Not because you don't like shoes, but because A, you're just walking down the road and you're not focused on buying shoes at that moment in time. And B, because you have no idea who this man is and because he doesn't know anything about your taste in footwear. Build relationships first. Don't just message people with a special offer that they may not want or need, because what happens is A, it irritates people and you look spammy, and B, you waste a ton of time on unqualified leads. All you need to do is interact with people. Qualify your leads and make more money and better relationships. Good luck, and please don't email me again, Jess. Now, I didn't actually get another email from her. I figured that I had been fairly transparent and I'd given her some good advice. And so I felt like I could move forward from that point. Only it's now a few days later and I'm still pretty irked about it, because now I'm looking out in my inbox all the time for all the secret spammers that are finding me and trying to sell me things that potentially I might want. Had I built relationships with them, I may actually want these things. But I also wanted to, instead of just venting my anger, venting my anger about spam, I wanted to make a clear learning experience for everyone around what you actually should be doing with your emails. And, cold emailing can be a great strategy, but there are a few things that are going to make it a lot easier and a lot better for you. Now, one of them is actually to attract people to your audience first and get them to sign up for your email list. So that's point one, okay? Emailing random people outside of LinkedIn does not tend to go down well, because people actually like to know the people who are emailing them, even if it is just a case of, about 3 years ago, I signed up for their checklist on insert thing here. We do like to have an affinity with the person. But there are a couple of other things that you can do that actually make a real big difference when it comes to email marketing and actually makes people want to read them and interact with them. And most importantly, buy from you at a later point. So those are the things I really want to focus on today, because I'm hoping against hope, that for anybody out there who is wondering about email marketing and how they can do it and how they can make their emails more interesting, or how they can make them more useful, or indeed how they can just get their audience to actually buy from their emails, that you'll get something from it. And I'm also hoping that if you've ever sent out a spam email in your life, you're listening to this and putting down your cup of tea and making a post-it note on your computer that says, do not send Jessica Lorimer spam, or anyone else, in brackets. So let's dive in. Now, number one is about building relationships with your emails. Now, I know that you're probably thinking, yeah, but Jess, you say this all the time. Sales is about relationships. We get it, yada, yada, yada. But it's even more crucial in email marketing, because email marketing is typically a kind of impersonal way of communicating with people. Email is very impersonal. It can also be, if you've ever worked in an office, that is, it can also be pretty passive aggressive, right? We've all read the sign-offs at the end of an email, and everyone knows that when you just type regards instead of best wishes or kind regards, that you are hacked off. So we've all been there. We've seen the passive aggressive emails, we've seen the spam emails, we've seen the chain thread things where if you don't look in a mirror within the next 5 seconds, somebody's going to have to buy you a Domino's pizza and life will be over. And we don't really like them. And the reason that email is around is because it's very convenient for people. It's a very simple way of communicating, and it allows you to talk to a mass volume of people at one time without having to do lots and lots of things separately. So there are lots of plus points to emailing, but it can be impersonal unless you build relationships with your emails and actually make them engaging, you make them fun, you make them valuable. One of the things that I love is that when I send out an email, on average, I get between 40 and 60% of my list actually open my emails. And that's really nice. So if you're one of those people, thank you. I love that you're opening my emails. And then a further 10% of people usually respond to me. I had a response yesterday from somebody who emailed me back and said, hey, Jess, great email. I love the fact that you used the phrase bingo wings. So if you're not on my email list and you want to hear what I was talking about bingo rings, go and get yourself on there, because it was a good email. But seriously, I have about 10% of people who open it and then will reply. And the reason for that is that the emails that I try and send out are things that are going to be genuinely engaging, genuinely valuable for my audience. And so I tend to, in my emails, share stories. I will make analogies. I will share a shed ton of value, and, I'll sell as well. But building those relationships is key. Telling people about what's going on behind the scenes in my business, talking about my week, telling them, what the real down low is on whatever it is that I'm launching. Building those kinds of relationships with people makes them feel good. And it actually makes them feel part of your tribe. It makes them feel part of your support system. It makes them feel like they are helping you get to your goal and you are helping them get to theirs. And actually, that kind of two-way relationship is really, really important for your audience. It makes them feel good. It makes them feel valued. And most importantly, it makes them want to keep in touch with you. Okay? So when you're writing your emails and when you're sending them out, don't just go along the lines of, I've got to send out a newsletter and then I've got to send out a sales email. Think about, okay, how am I genuinely going to engage people this week? How am I genuinely going to make them feel included in my life or business this week? How am I going to make them feel valued for being on my email list this week? How am I rewarding them for being there? Think about those kinds of questions so you can start building relationships with the audience. And if you're struggling, to engage people, think about the way that your emails are written. Are you writing emails that actually make people laugh? Are you writing emails that appeal to a decision that they've recently made? Are you writing emails that are engaging with a topic that's hot for them right now? Are you writing emails that make them laugh, cry, have some kind of emotion? These are really important things for building those deep relationships with the people on your list. So ask yourself a few of those questions and think about the next piece of content that you're going to be putting out in your newsletter. Now, the next thing we need to talk about is obviously value. Okay, value. And I want to talk about two people who I'm subscribed to their email list, and their emails are just fantastic. And I read them every single time they come out. Now, I don't read a lot of emails. So if I'm on your email list, then you obviously had something that was super duper sexy that made me want to sign up. So yay. And also, if I stay on your email list and I actually read your emails, that's huge, because I'm a talker. I love podcasts, I love videos, but if I read your emails, your emails are super smooth. And there are two people whose emails I read religiously because they're so good. And you know what? It's not about the amount of times that they send them out. One of them emails 5 times a week, and usually I'd think that's too much, but I could read these all day, every day. And one person emails once a week. And every week I literally wait until Friday or Saturday, whenever I can pick it up, because I know it's going to be awesome. And I get really excited. It's like having a little present in my inbox. And, that's something that I would love to emulate one day. I'd love for people to wait for my emails and be like, I really want an email from Jess because it's really fun, or it's going to be great. Now, the first person is Ash Amberjay from the Middle Finger Project. And if you haven't gone and checked her out and you like snarky writing, you like the idea of hanging out in coffee shops with an espresso, being cool and arty with a MacBook, but also the kind of person that you can just talk to about any given topic, who loves things like cocktails and fun nights out, Ash Amberjay is your woman. And she's a genius, right? With email marketing, she's a genius. Ash's emails come into my inbox every single day. And I love reading them because of all of the above reasons around her being smart, snarky and hilarious and loving cocktails, because she writes just like I imagine she sounds. And Ash, if you're listening to the podcast, I really do love you. And also, get very, very excited about your emails. So thanks for those, because they're epic. And I kind of want us to be best friends. But seriously, her style is very engaging. It's very funny. It makes me feel like I'm kind of chatting to her in a bar. And that's a really good feeling. And the other reason that I read them all the time is because actually she gives out great value. And there aren't many people in the online space that give out great value anymore. There are lots of people out there who, they write emails that are designed to be super salesy or sort of polarizing or whatever. But there aren't that many people who give out actual solid value anymore. And Ash Ambushe is one of them. So she sends out emails 5 days a week, usually, and sometimes she has a little rest, and I miss the emails terribly, but generally it's about 5 days a week, and they're not long. They're short emails, and she usually discusses some really hardcore business topics. She's discussing legal stuff like 2 weeks ago, and actually made it engaging and interesting to read. And then the second person is Amy Lynn Andrews. And I love Amy Lynn's newsletter because she actually calls it a newsletter. Okay, now how cool is that? That's really, wordy, nerdy person over here loves the fact that she's changed the name from newsletter to newsletter. That really, really tickled me, and I loved it. And it is exactly that. She has a great example of a newsletter that delivers free trainings. It talks about useful paid offerings, which she is an affiliate for. It's a great way of her marketing affiliate offerings and generating affiliate income. And it's actually really, really useful if you are somebody who is in the blogging space, because that's her specialism. She works with people who are looking to increase their followers or their income through their blog. And so every week she sends out this little newsletter of tips and tricks that you can use to grow your blog or monetize your blog or write better content, all of these kinds of things. And it's brilliant, really, really good. And I'm not even a prolific blogger, but I love her newsletter. And the reason I love both of their newsletters is because they actually do give value. Pure, unadulterated, genuine value. It's not sent with expectation. It's not sent in a kind of, hey, here's this free newsletter, here's the what, but not the how. It's actually just really good information, really good content that I enjoy, that is valuable to me and is relevant to me. Okay, so when you are sending out emails, make sure that you're sending out some value to your audience. Make sure that you're making it humorous, or you're making it emotive, or that you're sending them something really useful. But also make sure that it's actual genuine value, because that will encourage them to stay on your list. It will encourage them to keep building that relationship with you, and it will encourage them to buy from you later on. And most importantly, please segment your list. For the love of all things wine related, segment your list. Stop sending stuff to people who don't want it. And I know that we all have 20 gazillion opt-ins out there on the internet, and people are signing up for different things every day. But regularly segment your list. Make sure that when somebody is signing up for an opt-in, that it's tagging them, so that you're not just sending random emails about LinkedIn to people who only use Twitter. Actually think about your audience and the split, because what happens is if you keep sending out valuable content on a topic that they're not interested in, they're going to unsubscribe. And the worst thing is that actually the week after you might send something on a topic they really did want, and then they're not going to get it, and they're going to be out of your circle. So make sure that you are segmenting your list properly and that you are sending out value in your emails so that the right people are seeing the right content. So we're sending people stuff they're actually going to enjoy, they're going to use, and it's going to help them make that buying decision with you later on. Now, the other thing that you've got to remember is about list hygiene. Now, we just kind of touched on about this, but give people the opportunity to unsubscribe regularly. So email them and be like, hey, you haven't actually opened any of my emails in the last 3 months. #awkward_turtle. But if you don't want to be on my email list anymore, that's totally cool. I won't hold it against you. Here's how you unsubscribe. The thing is, having an email list of 10,000 people, as useful as it may be for getting yourself onto telesummits and interviews, is actually not useful if 9,980 people never actually open them, because it damages your open rates, right? It damages your deliverability rates. And what that means is that actually less people start seeing it. And so your email open rates plummet and your sales go down. So giving your audience the opportunity regularly to unsubscribe if they need to. Obviously not your main audience are actually opening your emails, but the people who aren't opening them, the people who haven't opened in 3 to 6 months, you want to be offering them the opportunity to unsubscribe. And if they don't ever open those, you just want to be deleting them. Okay, it will save you a ton of money with ActiveCampaign or whoever you use. I recommend ActiveCampaign because they're awesome. But it will also help with your deliverability, and it will also help with the amount of people that actually engage with your emails, because ultimately we don't want to be stacking up emails in people's inboxes that they never read. We want to be sending them these little presents, these little golden nuggets every single week that they get excited about, you know, they actually want to read and engage with. The other thing you can do to be kind of good about your list hygiene and to be thinking about making sure your list is full of ideal clients is to actually be polarizing in your messaging. Now, polarizing doesn't have to be mean. You know, polarizing is not going, hey, if you don't buy my stuff, you suck. That's not polarizing, that's rude. But being polarizing in your messaging with your email marketing is really taking a stand. Okay, it's really showing your audience what side of the fence you sit on when it comes to your sales strategies or the way that you market yourself, or, you know, the core values in your business, the things that you believe. Those are all really, really important areas and topics of discussion for you and your audience. And if you mention them in your email marketing, it means that actually the people who continue to engage with you are people who are on your level. They're people who have the same values as you. They are people who want to purchase from you. They want to build a relationship with you because of the things that you stand for, because of the area of expertise that you have. It's super, super valuable. So in order to be more engaging, you are going to need to do this regular list hygiene. It's not going to be about vanity metrics. You know, we don't want you to be focusing on, yes, I have to get 12,000 million people on my list, but, you know, only 10 of them ever open my emails. We genuinely really want to be aiming for having that great open rate, and making sure that we get that 40 to 60% open rate, that we have great click-through rates, that we're building those relationships, and ultimately that we're giving people value, because we know that value sells. We know that when our free value is awesome, people want to buy from us. They want to ask us, hey, what can we purchase? Hey, how can we work with you? Because that's how we are. You know, when we know somebody's free value is amazing, we know that their paid stuff must be incredible. And so when that paid opportunity comes up, we jump on it like a mouse jumps on cheese. Okay? I'm not sure that mice actually jump, by the way. If anybody's ever seen a mouse jump, please could you email me and let me know. And also if you have a picture, that would be great too, because I don't imagine that mice have knees, and now I'm thinking about it. And yeah, I'm intrigued. I may Google this later. But the final point on email marketing is that after building the relationship, after giving value, after doing regular list hygiene, you've got to actually sell. Okay. And I know that it's scary, and I know that people think that sales emails are sleazy emails, but actually they're some of the best emails you're ever going to get. Okay. I'm watching some high profile influencers launch at the moment. There are a few big courses launching or about to launch, and I'm reading these people's emails and I'm looking at them, and some of them I think are amazing because they're not only selling, they're giving a ton of value, and I'm like, that's really smart and I love that. And some people are just sending out an email every day that's like, hey, buy my thing. And I'm like, oh, that's gross. Because we want to be wooed, right? Email marketing is like dating. You want to be wooed. You want that person to show up with their best self first, and you want them to, you know, make you feel great about yourself. You want them to give you value. You want them to spend time and energy and attention on you because it feels good. And then you want them to seal the deal. Okay. You want them to give you the I don't know, film-worthy kiss, or you want them to kind of shyly come up to you and be like, hey, would you make it official? Can we be boyfriend, girlfriend now? Is that cool? You know, you want to have that moment because everybody secretly wants to have their glorious film moment where they know that they're wanted and they're loved and the deal is closed. And it's the same with email marketing. We want to build the relationship with the person that is emailing us because they actually had something in the beginning that attracted us. You know, they looked great. They were super sexy. We saw them in the corner of the room, our eyes connected, and we just had to jump on their email list. And then we want them to call us regularly, right? We want them to be making the effort. We want them to give us value in our emails. We want them to be, you know, pursuing the relationship and making us feel good. And after that, we want them to seal the deal. We want them to sell to us. We want them to say, hey, Jess, you're so great for being on my email list. I want you in my paid private community where you're going to learn about X, Y, Z. I.e., I want you here for life. And that's really important. You know, it actually makes us feel good to be sold to when we're sold to well in email marketing. Okay, so an example of selling well in email marketing is actually about having a structured email sequence during your launch time that says, hey, you're going to get a few emails from me. If you're really not interested in this product or service, click here and you can unsubscribe from this launch sequence. But if you have any teeny tiny thoughts that you might just want to have a look at the sales page and you might want to grab a sneak peek, then just stay on the list. And I promise I'm going to give you a ton of value. And I'm going to make it a really good experience, even if you don't buy, so that actually the next time an offer comes up that's right for you, you're going to jump on that instead. Okay? That's how we want our sales emails to feel. We want them to be personal. We want them to explain why we should make a decision or why we shouldn't. We want sales emails to help us self-identify. Do we really need this product or service? Is this really right for us and our business? Because sometimes, you know, we can't get on the phone with everybody. If you run a group program and it's on auto, you're probably not going to get on the phone with somebody for an hour to try and sell them into it, especially when you've got 1,000 people on your list, because you don't have 1,000 hours in your day. So if you don't have an application process, then it's actually really useful to have a sales email that incorporates your FAQs. Right? It's really useful to talk to people in your sales emails about the fears that might be coming up for them. You know, why wouldn't they buy? What's scaring them? What's putting them off? And talking about that and sharing your own experience. It's also really valuable in sales emails to share the transformation that could be achieved. You know, what really could they do if they bought the program or service? You know, in integrity, what really could they achieve? And are you actually talking about that in your sales emails? Or are you kind of hiding away like, hey, I've got this kind of cool thing. Maybe you should go buy it. Huh? And also here, let me write another 60 lines on something that's completely irrelevant because it will make me feel better and less salesy. That's not what we want to do. We want the jazz hands. We want to be loud and proud and excited about the product, program, or service that we're putting into the world. Because ultimately, if we weren't excited about it, if we didn't really think it could absolutely change or transform somebody's life, business, health, wealth, relationships, we wouldn't be doing it. Right? That's the joy of being a service-based business owner, is that you come into this knowing that there are tons of easier ways to make money, but you really love impacting people. You really love helping them make a change. And so that's why you've created these products or these programs or these services, because you know that they are absolutely going to transform somebody's life. And so if you don't write about that in your email, if you don't sell it, you are doing them a disservice. You're holding back. You're not helping them. You're hoping that they are going to realize that you can change your life. And unless you tell them, that's never going to happen. Okay? So those are the things that you really need to be thinking about with email marketing. Avoid spam. It stinks. It's gross. Cold emailing, if you don't put it into context, if you don't introduce yourself correctly, if you don't frame it and do your research around the person that's receiving it, is never going to go down well. But when you get people onto your email list with a great opt-in, if you're building relationships with them, if you're making it fun, engaging, and valuable, if you're regularly doing list hygiene and offering people the opportunity to opt out of your list or segmenting them so that they can actually receive information that's going to be useful to them and tailored to them all of the time, and then you're selling to them and you're telling them about the amazing transformations that can be achieved and that you can really, really help them with XYZ area, Those are going to be the ways that you utilize email marketing to make your audience feel good. And I promise you that when you start using email marketing the right way, when you follow these structures around building relationships, around delivering genuine value, around selling effectively to your email list, not only are you going to feel great because you're going to raise your sales, you're going to rock your conversions, you're going to be having more conversations with people who are replying to your emails because they're loving your content, but actually your audience is going to feel amazing too. And let's face it, right? That is why we do what we do, because we want to make impact and an income. There you have it. That is episode 10. Yay, double figures. I'm very, very excited about the double figures. But if you have enjoyed today's episode, please hit that subscribe button. Don't miss another episode. And make sure that you leave a review. Tell us what you are thinking about the podcast. Are you enjoying it? Are you loving it? And if you do have any questions, any queries that you think would be a good idea to cover off on the podcast or an idea for a next episode, please feel free to email them over jessica@jessicalorimer.com. I always want to know what you're thinking. I always want to know what you're struggling with so I can help solve all of your sales problems. Have an epic week, and I will see you on Friday for our deep dive training with an amazing entrepreneur, one of my faves, in fact. I'll see you then.